welcome back to Home Video Hangouts. Today we're going to be discussing Blumhouse's new horror film, Imaginary. This film is directed by Jeff Wadlow, and I believe this could be Blumhouse's most creative horror movie yet. So let's discuss why. So one thing I really like about Imaginary is this isn't just like every other horror movie that's released recently. It's not another horror movie that just relies on a bunch of quick jump scares to try to hold your attention and keep you interested. It really keeps developing and twisting the plot as it goes along, which made this film especially intriguing, in addition to the interesting plot it had in the first place. So just when you think you have everything figured out in this movie of, what's going on, why things are happening based on other horror movies you've seen and typical stereotypes, it adds in a twist that kind of shocks you and makes you think, oh man, I didn't see that coming. And then that keeps happening multiple times throughout the film, and that's especially true in the second half, where the film kind of takes on a whole new dimension, so to speak. So that was one of the things I really loved about this, is it's a film that keeps you guessing. So I also really enjoyed the storyline and plot and themes in this movie. It really weaved together comedy and scares in a meaningful and creative way, and I believe this whole idea of incorporating children's imaginary friends into a horror movie's theme is really unique and special, and I know one of the trailers they put out was kind of tying this into leap days and leap years as well, which was creative. But I think this is especially a unique plot for Blumhouse. I know in the past they've come up with some unique ideas for their movies, which is part of what I really enjoy about them, but I found this one to be especially unique and fitting, and they executed it really well. And I think it's an especially creative and imaginative movie. It takes elements from some of their other successful films, like it made me think of Megan a little bit. It even kind of drew some themes from other horror movies outside of Blumhouse, like Chucky, for example. But it brought in new elements that made this feel new and fresh and kind of expanded on other good movies' themes. I also was surprised at how well some of the acting was done in this movie. There were a couple of characters that I thought fell a little bit flat, but there were other characters that really stood out. I was really surprised, especially by the little girl in this movie, who was kind of the center of a lot of the storyline. She did very well as a young actress who I haven't seen in any other movies. As a child actor, I think she did really well here, and it reminded me of some other good child acting performances I've seen, and I think they made a really good choice with the little girl they chose to kind of interact with the bear in this movie and different elements of the plot, and her way of showing different emotions was really great, and acting scared, acting happy, interacting with her family in the movie. I thought she did really well. I was also really impressed by the soundtrack in this movie. They chose to have Bear McCreary do the soundtrack for this movie, which I think is hilariously ironic based on the plot and theme of this movie, but he's also very talented and has worked on films like Lord of the Rings and video games like God of War Ragnarok. And he did so well with designing the audio for this movie and some of the special songs. I still have a couple of the songs stuck in my head after watching this movie, and they really add to the immersion of this film and really tie into the plot in a great way. So I was really impressed by the soundtrack here too. So in conclusion, I was really impressed by Imaginary, and I hope that Blumhouse kind of continues on with what they did in this movie of coming up with really creative new ideas and executing them in special ways and kind of keeping you guessing with the plot. I know Blumhouse has had some wins and some losses in the movies they've come out with. I know they, in the past, have done some kind of more generic slasher-type movies or some movies that rely a lot on jump scares, and I hope they go away from that and focus more on these really creative plots that I know they're capable of coming up with. I know that Jason Blum is a great producer, and there's a lot of potential with Blumhouse's horror movies, and I always get excited when I see a trailer for a new one. So I really hope that they keep up the momentum here after coming out with Imaginary and either expand on this story or come out with more great new stories for horror movies. And let me know in the comments below what you thought of Imaginary if you saw it, or what some of your favorite Blumhouse movies are. And also hit the like button below and the subscribe button to hear about my upcoming movie reviews. I always enjoy sharing these with you, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.